Greetings, ladies, gents, oddies, and all the in-betweens. I'm CrimsonSlave. Welcome to my Insomnia files. Okay, let's get this over with. So, currently, I'm tired. I've had not the best week, but I'm tired, and I want to get through this pretty fast because I gotta do some more stuff. Hopefully, do something else, but I'll get to that in a second. So, this week, what's happened? This week, one of the things I knew I had to do was I had to have two doctor's appointments to see a gastroenterologist, and I had to go see a doctor that specializes in diabetes, an endocrinologist. So, with my week being bad and me being sick and everything, I kind of thought that my week's highlights would be those things, and I'd figure out what was wrong. So, the question is, what did I do with my week? Ah, so Tuesday, Tuesday, I prepared, fully prepared, for a weird 4 hour session doing x-ray scan and dealing with all that. I thought that would be an annoying process, and it was worse than I thought because it wasn't what I was told. So my gastroenterologist told me that it was going to be a 4 hour study. I just like sat there and it would do scans every so often, and they figure out how food was moving through my body, and that was going to be how I figure out if I have gastroparesis or not. So I, despite being sick and everything, got everything figured out. I got told in the middle, I got told at the start of the session, which I had a really weird conversation with a nurse who was asking me like, basic doctor questions. Was like, hey, why are you here? What's this for? Do you feel you need this test? And one of the things that was interesting about this was that everything that I told her that's happened to me medically, she feels that that was insanely insane. So one of the things, super interesting. Sorry, I'll get off this point in a second. But like, so she told me that she seasonally gets. Oh God, words against me now. But she told me that she seasonally gets bronchitis. Now, I got bronchitis once. It was horrible. I got it in my freshman year of high school, and I hated it. I had a fever of 106. I had to take two ice baths, and my grandparents and my mom freaked out and basically fed me ice cream for like 3 days because my internal temperature was just getting super high and it wasn't getting better. And then they found out in the middle of that I had bronchitis and told me I had interscrolling in my lungs, and if I kept smoking at 16, don't judge me, but if I kept smoking at 16, I'd be dead before I was 22 because of how hard bronchitis hit and fucked up my system. So because of that, I don't smoke. Hearing someone get bronchitis seasonally felt weird because I thought like I've never known someone with bronchitis, but hearing that version, hearing like knowing that I went through that for about like a really bad week of having bronchitis, and her being like, "Yeah, I get it seasonally. It's annoying," and I'm like, "You just get bronchitis seasonally?" She's like, "Yeah, allergies, craziness." And like she was like, "Are you sure you're not like?" We talk about medical stuff. She was like, "Why are you here?" She's like, "Are you diabetic?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm diabetic." She's like, "How do you know?" I'm like, I had a blood sugar count of 100 and 1500. And she was like, "Whoa, 1500? That's deadly." I'm like, "Yeah, I got it. I bounced back from it." She's like, "Yeah, it's probably because you're young. Like most people don't bounce back from that. Like like you're lucky." I'm like, "Maybe I am. I don't know." But that was weird because like I had that little fun conversation about medical things, and it was just like, oh, so I've been through medically one-offs, craziness. But I kind of thought from like her rapport that like I was gonna talk to her for the next 4 hours. Brought my iPad, got my pencil charged up. I downloaded some TV shows and some stuff from Hulu onto my iPad because I thought like I'd be sitting there like in an X-ray machine, like taking breaks, getting up. But then like this, because like I had a different study that essentially was like me laying on a bed. I ate something. I'd like keep turning and keep turning. They can get different imaging. I thought this would be that, and then I was prepped for it. Didn't eat anything, and then they were like, "Oh, you can go home if you want." And I was like, "What do you mean?" They're like, "Oh, so the study is just pictures, and we're going to take like 4 pictures. We're going to take one now, one an hour after that, and then 2 hours after that. That's it." But a lot of people coming for this study, it was called a gastric emptying study. So they were like, yeah. So like a lot of people that come in here for it, basically they'll close up, they just go home and come back. But this is a hospital, so I'm not gonna kick your house. If you want to chill in the waiting room, whatever you can. But you don't have to stay here if you don't want. So that kind of screwed up how I was planning my day. But regardless, I didn't feel like sitting in the study because I was wearing me clothes, which is like kind of this thing. But being like, I don't, how do I say this? Being an emo or goth kid, depending how you look at it, how you cut that stereotype down. Um, I'm used to like strained stares and people being like, a lot. I, I'm me. I've met me. I got a grasp on how I look to the outside world. So I didn't feel like sitting in Bay Health outpatient because there was a lot of old people, like a few people, but like a lot of people stared at me going and coming in the time period that I was, and I kind of felt that sitting down watching anime. Cause I had a plane, I had a plan to watch Chainsaw Man and maybe watch some more Star Wars Forces of Evil because I'm trying to finish the series. And that was kind of what I was going to watch as I waited. If I didn't, I got bored, I was going to switch to Only Murders in the Building, which is a show I really, really want to watch. So that was kind of my core plan for Bogger Visit. I didn't do any of that. I essentially took pictures, which was like literally like a minute of standing still, left, went home, left, got in my car, drove home, watched something for 2 hours, watched something for the first hour. I watched a YouTube video. Went back, came back, finished that same YouTube video. Left, came back for a 2 hour visit, and then like started to get tired, but I set an alarm, and that was fine. Then I went back, got the thing done. I was like, how long will it take? It was weird. But the thing I want to talk about this is that like the guy told me essentially was this, because like I had to get ready for this, and this meant that I had to show up at a certain time. I had to eat an egg with radiant materials in it, so I could take pictures of the egg in my stomach. So the guy, like the sorry, person I talked to was interesting, but the person I talked to was mostly a guy. He explained it to me. He showed me pictures of it. So essentially, the study works by taking what I ate, which was toast and egg, and they basically watch how that egg dissipates from my stomach over the course of the 4 hours to see if it's releasing from my stomach into my lower intestines and upper intestines, whatever it is. And that's how they determine how this works. I'm not 100% sure it was good or bad, but it was what it was. And that was that. And I don't know because I didn't talk to my gastroenterologist, which brings me to another thing. So this is what I did Tuesday. Now, with this week, I plan to do three things this week. I plan to go to do the study on Tuesday. Thursday, I had two doctor's appointments, and then Friday, And Friday into today, Jerry was going to be gone, so I had to pet sit Hazel. So that was what I planned to do this week. So getting this weird study done, it wasn't that bad. I felt was a high point. Now I will admit it was kind of a high point because it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, but it was kind of bad in the way of a lot of stuff falling apart in the middle of the week. I won't get into that because I'm only making this for me, and I'm sure the people that watch it either know or they don't care. So I'll just say that some stuff's falling apart in my week, and it's not good for me mentally. But hopefully, I'll be able to work the rest of this week going forward, and I can start to pick some of that crap back up. Moving on. So, did all this stuff, and then Thursday came around. Oh, that's what yeah, Thursday came around. So, I had a plan Thursday to go to doctor's appointments. So, this week, I beat Prey. Super interesting. I beat Prey for the first time ever. I did not expect the ending. Period. I did it. I did two versions of it. I did the version where I save the people, another version where I destroy the thing. It was weird. But I didn't expect the ending. And I understand that Prey came out in 2017. So it's an old game. I still love Arcane Studio games, so I was super happy with it. Didn't expect how it was ending. So I had a plan. That plan was to beat Medium and delete off my Xbox. And that plan fell apart kind of immediately because I tried to play Medium and then found out that it got taken out of Game Pass. And I liked Medium. I didn't beat it. But words. With my lack of ability to feed myself. I'm just gonna say it. My lack of ability to feed myself at the moment. I can't bring myself to invest $20 into a game that I wanted to beat maybe to free up space on my Xbox. So that didn't work out. So when I have these moments when I beat games, I tend to just look through Game Pass Ultimate because I have Game Pass Ultimate free until like October at some point. But yeah, I have to deal with that. So I sincerely felt that was what I was going to do. But I went through Game Pass Ultimate, found a game called Death's Door, started playing that. Interesting game made by Devolver Studios. Devolver Digital. The game was like heralded, like the entire preview for the game was a lot of cool reviews, like the style of it. It reminded me of Hollow Knight, but not as didn't look as hard. Played it, super loving it. I think I've like one more 2 hour session. Cause I have to grind some more stuff. And then I'll beat the game, and that'll be what I'm gonna do. Super fun game. I could super enjoy it. But that kind of destroyed my whole thing with that. And that moment where like I realized I don't feel like paying for Medium was a moment where I remembered something that I have put out of my head for the past 2 months, and that's games. If you've met me in real life, I can go on about video games. I like video games. It's a part of my life. I have over 100, mostly because of the Switch games that I buy. But I have over 100 games. I think my games outnumber the amount of pops that I have. Maybe not my movies though, but I have a lot of video games. I play a lot of video games I have for years. It's just been a thing in my life. So the fact that like I mentally haven't thought about GameStop, gone to GameStop, visited GameStop, done anything with GameStop was a moment where I remembered, oh yeah, I should probably go get those pops for Tiny Tina's Wonderland before I can't get them anymore. And I really, really wanted to play Swan Song because from Vampire Masquerade, which I haven't made a game in like 7 years, and I super want to play that game. Then I started like remembering all these games that I want to play, and I realized I can't afford to do any of that, which sucks. So like it's not as bad as I'm making it out to be a bad thing, and it is, but like it might not be because like I technically can get Swan Song for free, cause I $5 coupon for the month from GameStop, and then I have 4,000 points that I can just waste and get a coupon and just make that game free. I put $5 down on those Tiny Tina pops. Pop figures are usually $12, so so $10 I could pick up both pops, and I think I can like swing that, but I can't pick up Three Hopes. But I really do want to play Saints Row. I want to stream that, so that comes out later this month. I'm probably gonna pick that up late. And I want to pre-order Marvel's Midnight Suns, which I had a conversation with someone at GameStop I'm friends with, and like we couldn't figure out the name of the game for the long time. He was like, "Wait, Jack, is this Marvel? Is this Marvel game?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, that, yeah." So yeah, that happened. So like that happened. So I haven't been in a while, but I want to pre-order that game. I want to cancel my pre-order for Mario Strikers. I don't know when Splatoon 3 is coming out, but as it sits for the rest of the year, I don't plan. I plan to pick up what I've pre-ordered, but I have no plan. I have no idea what I'm doing about other stuff. Gotham Knights, I'm definitely going to pick up. I'm going to pick up Saints Row. I super want to play that. Three Hopes, I really do want to play that game because I love Three Houses, and it was really good, and I think it's the middle of that game, so I want to play these games. But in the narrative of my life, of possibly being kicked out, of not being able to eat food this week, to having my account overdraw, needing to overcome these problems, searching for someone to refinance this loan, or at least get grill off the car. I haven't thought about games. Like it's why I took such a big break between finishing Cyberpunk and playing Prey, because it just has not been a thing in my head or my mind, despite the fact that I need levity and breaks from what's going on in my life. I just haven't thought about buying something new. And that's a lot. I can say a lot about that, and like how that's probably like a factor in my depression and everything else. But I'll get to my depression in a second. But that was a weird thing to deal with on Wednesday. And then comes Thursday, which turned out to be a slight shit show for two reasons. The first reason was that I don't know how it happened, but I somehow got both my appointments scheduled for the exact same time. And at first, which I should have done the first time, I should have just went to the first appointment and been late for the second one. Because, as I'm about to explain to you, it wouldn't have fucking mattered. So, what I did was call the doctor's office and was like, hey, I was supposed to be there at 1. I don't think I make it there at 1. Can I reschedule for the time in person at my houses first? And they were like, no, we're booked up until October. There is no coming in at a different time. But if you want to, we can reschedule it, and I'll just charge you a scheduling fee, and therefore you don't have to worry about missing the appointment for a different time. Now, this, at the time, was the responsible thing to do, because it meant that I could at least see the person later, figure out what's going on later, and I can at least figure out if on the diabetes side of my problem, if this problem is getting worse. Keep that in mind. So, called the person, and I basically was like, okay, let's cancel the thing for 1 and figure out the next step. And then in the middle of me canceling the appointment, she was like, oh, that's kind of bad. She's like, well, closest I can get you in is August. Is August. And I was like, August 30th? He's like, yeah, August 30th. Close they had someone just canceled. And I'm like, um, well, like, okay, wait, hear me out. Let me just like call you. Let me call you back and see if I can be late for my other appointment. And she was like, oh, I can't do that anymore because your spot already got filled. And I was like, okay, fine, it's filled, whatever. So I'm gonna see my gastroenterologist on the 30th. Now, I needed to get to my appointment in Smyrna because I needed to go to the other appointment. So one of like four things I hate about my doctors, my primary care doctor, is that they don't have a fucking direct way to call each office. So I wanted to call and tell the people I was going to be late because there was road work in Smyrna slowing me down. So I had to call them and be like, hey, I'm coming. I'll be like 10 minutes late. And they were like, and I couldn't do that directly. I had to call, and I called, people telling me to be late. And apparently, I called them during lunch. My appointment was at 1:15. So apparently from 12 to 1, they were at lunch. So there was no way for me to contact anyone. So basically, 15 minutes, like me on the way to my appointment, 15 minutes into that, they were at lunch. So I contacted someone at 1:03. They were like, oh, hi. And like we went through the whole thing, and like, cause I was like on a back road, my sig my signal started to die a little bit. So we basically like talked this out, and he was like, okay, sure, I'll call and tell them that you'll be late. And I was like, thanks. And yeah, so when I got there, they were like, hi. I was like, hi. Now, keep in mind, I didn't want to cancel my original appointment for this time. And I feel now that I should have just been late to the second one because it wouldn't have mattered. So when I got there, they were like, oh, hi. And they were like, did you know that you have a balance? And I'm like, yeah, I do know I have a balance. And they were like, well, then like she like read out the balance. So and I'm like, yeah, Jacob's office told me I had a balance. So they were like, well, are you gonna pay on it? I'm like, I can't today because I have no money and no one told me I needed money to pay on the thing. Because I thought when I paid on it last time and told them I'd pay on it every 2 weeks that I'd be able to just pay it off that way. And you're like, oh, no one told you that. Well, you need to pay something for this thing. And I'm like, okay, out of money on me. Let's reschedule. And they were like, well, maybe we shouldn't reschedule. I'm like, if I don't have money to pay for this appointment, and I won't have money until Friday, I'll just come back a different day. I know that technically she doesn't work Friday, so that won't work out. And they were like, well, it says in the notes that Jacob really, really wants you to see her. And I'm like, I don't know what we do in this situation then. She was like, well, let's set you up. Let's set you up on a payment plan. And I'm like, when I saw my doctor 2 weeks ago, I paid them $75. They were like, that's fine. If you pay $75 every month, you should be able to do it in three to four checks, and I'll be fine. I'm like, cool, we'll do that, and therefore I don't have to worry about a payment coming out of my account every day. And they're like, yeah, we understand that. You just come in and you pay. I'm like, cool, and that's how I thought I was going to go through this process. Now, I want you to keep this in mind. I got to this appointment on time. I got there at 1:15 on time. So I thought this would be a 5-10 minute conversation. This turned into a 20-minute conversation because they had to review some stuff, write some shit down. I had to sign some stuff, copy my credit card information onto a thing because they're super into getting this payment in 2 weeks. So that's weird, but I'll figure it out. Now, I thought, technically, because I spent 20 minutes roughly, because I got there at 1:15, that I would see my doctor soon. Right? You think it's alright. Like, the problem was the insurance, or like money for insurance, so like, it worked out that way. I then waited 30 more minutes from the time period that I got there. I got there at 2:15. Sorry, I got there at 1:15. This weird conversation that I had with this receptionist and like someone in charge of finance, whatever, lasted into around 2:35. I didn't see my doctor until, sorry, this lasted until like 1:35. I didn't see my doctor until like 1:10. I could have just been late and saw both doctors and it wouldn't have fucking mattered. Because it took her that long to be done with her other patient, which essentially means I could have done both appointments. But the logic of being places on time, which is something that I try to aspire to, due to years and years of jokes about CP time, and my mom, my grandparents occasionally being late to stuff. And church people, I try to be on time for shit that I plan to do. It's just a thing that I care about. So that happened. So I saw this. I saw my doctor and my endocrinologist, and she was like, "Oh, how are you?" And I'm like, "I'm fine." She's like, "Haven't I seen you recently?" And I'm like, "No." She's like, "Wait, I saw you a couple of months ago." And I'm like, "On the video call?" He was like, "Yeah, I saw you then. Are you doing better?" Keep in mind, I don't like this doctor. I don't like this doctor. Not against her profession, her gender, her ethnicity. I don't like her because the two times that I've seen her, she's given me non-answers to a problem that is my health, and then just fucking left. First time I saw her on a video call, and then she was like, "I'm throwing up." She's like, "Oh, that's bad. How's your blood sugar?" And I was like, "It's this number. I'm gonna write you a prescription for this. Get some blood work done." And I'm like, "What? You do any questions? Should I be concerned about the throwing up? You know what? You have a point. Go get some blood work done." Okay, bye. That was the whole conference. I I swear to you, that was the whole conversation I had with her the first time I talked to her. The second time I talked to her, she again was late. I showed up to that shit on time. And I waited for about 20 minutes, like 30 minutes. I know this because the doctor's office has a TV and they have the shitty, they have a show that I don't know what the network's on, but it plays Tiny House Nation. I watched a complete episode of Tiny House Nation while playing Cookie Run Kingdom on my cell phone, waiting for this doctor's appointment. And the doctor's appointment was short because she was like, "I remember talking to you. Are you feeling better?" "Not really." "How's your blood sugar?" "It's around this. That still seems high." "Are you taking the medication that I prescribed you?" "Yeah." "Hmm. I see that you got blood work done a couple of months ago. I'm gonna have you get some more. I'm gonna have you get some blood work so I can get a better understanding of your issue. And I'll write you and we'll see you back here in a week." That was a whole conversation. I waited about 30 minutes for it to be like a 10-minute conversation of like, get blood work done. So context. Because going into this thing, she was like, "Have I seen you recently?" I'm like, "No." She's like, "Yeah, the phone conference." I'm like, "Yeah." then. So she was like, she's like, are you feeling better? No, I'm throwing up 2 or 3 times a week, and it's not getting better. What do you think it is? I don't know. Keep in mind, tired, haven't eaten, tired, haven't eaten. I didn't know that would affect anything. Tired, haven't eaten, and I'm just like quietly angry about all of the things that's happened today on Thursday. So she was like, yeah, I don't know. I'm like, well, Jacob seemed to think it was due to my diabetes. Is that? Oh, oh no. I don't know. Maybe it's something else. I'm like, what do you mean? Oh, your blood work came back. Your blood sugar's going has gone way down. What do you mean? He's like, yeah, like you took that down from like a 9 to like a took that down from a 9 to like a 4.6. Like you're doing better. Does that explain the vomiting that I'm having and nausea? No. Maybe that's something else. You should really talk to your other doctor. I'm still angry about it. What a minute. I was like, okay. He's like, yeah. By the way, your cholesterol's high. What? Your cholesterol's high. Like, are you drinking? Are you drinking? Are you drinking? Are you drinking water? Probably not enough. He's like, I recommend that you start drinking more water. Hmm. Hmm. And has your weight fluctuated since I saw you last? Keep in mind, I lost 8 pounds 2 weeks. But when I saw Jacob last, the same weight that I had then that I have now. Well, technically, from those 2 time periods, nothing changed. So I was like, not since I last was a doctor. And she's like, oh, okay. I'm gonna check your heart rate. Very angry, very angry. And she was like, do you have anxiety? No. Do you have depression? Yeah. Oh, you wait. Oh, you depression? Yeah. I'd recommend talking to your doctor about that. I was like, okay, but I was told a long, long time ago that I couldn't take depression meds for various reasons. But if you're depressed, you should probably do something about that. Yeah, but I'm clinically depressed. He's like, I guess you have a point. And I quote, you've been holding on thus far, so I'm sure it'll be fine. Real words. You've been holding on this far, so I'm sure it'll be fine. But just in case, next time you see your doctor, maybe talk to him about it. And I was like, all right, I'll do that then. He's like, okay, well, that's all I have. You have any questions? No. Well, okay. I'm gonna see you back here in 4 months. I'm vomiting still. I'm getting sick. I'm having chronic nausea. I have other problems I'm not getting into. But the fact that like I'm throwing up and still sick as not being solved is a problem to me. And my doctor was just like, yeah, I don't know. Well, bye. Has to be one of the most infuriating things about this entire fucking week. That was until Jerry left. Now, I'll admit, whenever Jerry leaves for a long period of time, there's 2 things that happens. Jerry leaves, goes to the store, goes outside, goes to visit her daughter, go out for a thing, and me things are home. She's going to bark and whine until one of us lets her outside. She's gonna go outside, stare at the lack of a car, stare back at me, stare back at the face, come back in the house. Jerry's her owner. I get it. But whenever Jerry leaves, it's this weird thing of she's gone. Yeah, she's gone. And whenever like Jerry leaves for like a couple of days, it's never great for me because Phoenix is a great person. He lets her out. He gives her food. He knows protocol to do with the dog. Not the thing I'm going into right now. But the thing that is the things I've been here longer, and I've known Hazel longer. So Hazel, whenever Jerry leaves, is like, I'm gonna be with Jack now, and that can be annoying at times. It was bad when Jerry was gone because I don't know. Maybe it's the fact that Hazel's getting older, or that she spends so much time around Jerry, or the fact that Jerry used to go to work every day. So Jerry used to go to work every day. She works. Jerry has a state job, and she used to go to that state job every single day. And that used to be the norm for Hazel. Jerry leaves in the morning, comes home for lunch, goes back to work, comes home. Now, because of the pandemic and Jerry's various health reasons, she stays home every day because of her asthma and coronavirus. Because of that, Jerry has been home for like 2 years solid. And because of that, she's just used to Jerry being in the presence of Jerry. And this week, I don't know why, a little bit last week, Hazel has just been like really weird. She's been coming in my room more often. She's been sniffing me, bugging me, and constantly wanting attention. And either me or Jerry get why. We let her out. She doesn't go back step. We give her something. She doesn't look at it. I give her ice and she eats it. Then like 10 minutes later, she's like, attention. I don't know. Don't know. Just don't know. But that is what she's been doing all week. So I kind of figured like this week will be kind of bad because Jerry left on Friday and was going to come back Sunday. Come back today. So like that was the thing. So I essentially knew that this time period might be bad. But I think it's maybe the worst because I didn't get to sleep until today. Because between me streaming, eating, trying to figure some crap out, and like editing some stuff, like moving a bunch of crap off my hard drive and trying to figure out some more stuff, I didn't sleep. Because all night, literally all night, I mean this. Because Hazel, Jerry goes to bed around 10, 11 on weekends. And I have that understanding of how she works. Makes sense. Hazel bugged me every 20 minutes. And I couldn't sleep because I sleep in my room. My room gets super hot when the doors close. Like my room's hot now. But my door's closed, my fan isn't on, my room gets super hot. So I usually sleep my door open alone because I'm single and no one wants me. But I sleep in here alone, right? I tried to do that Friday. Tried to do that Friday. Didn't work out because Hazel, every 20 minutes, got up, readjusted, scratched herself, or started whining, barked, or kept nudging the bed to be like, I want something. And how do I put this? I can't discern how to best fit the dog. I can't. Last 2 years, I worked at GameStop, so I was here and on call the entire time, going and coming. Last year, this time I worked in Maryland, so I basically left in the morning, was there most of the day, left there half the day, and basically saw a dog, hung out with it, petted it, let it out, petted and all that stuff with it. Time period I was sick, I mostly spent my time in my bed trying to feel better, throwing up, or doing other things. So the fact that like I can't do a lot or comfort the dog is bad, but I don't know what the protocol is to do things to help the dog. So my logical choice is that the dog barks at me, whines. I'm like, what are we doing? You want to go outside? Here's the open door. Gonna go out? No. Walk to the kitchen. Do you want food? Is that the answer? No. Do you want some ice? Here, have some ice. Go into the bedroom. Have a snack. Going outside to pee or take a dump? Have a snack. I can do selective things, but I cannot read minds. So the entire time period, the past 2 days, I have not slept. I had something that was kind of important that I wanted to do Friday morning, Saturday morning, but I didn't do it because between being awake all day and coming home to like trying to sleep, which didn't work out super well, by the way, but that didn't work out. It was basically up the entire day, and the dog eventually got up, barked, whined, and must like continue until today, around like 6ish. I decided to be like, I'm done. Now keep in mind, because I couldn't sleep, I actually streamed. I'm out a lot further through Death's Door, and like when I put it on there, you can literally hear me like talking to the dog in my last video, and you can hear me like saying I do things with the dog, because like the dog has been prevalent in my life the past few days, this entire time period. So I only get to sleep this morning. I got to sleep for like maybe 2 or 3 hours when Jerry called me because she needed to be let in the house because I think Phoenix or I locked the screen door and let her in. And I basically couldn't go back to sleep. Laid there, took on some stuff, thinking about some drawings, things I wanted to do, and basically that was it. So yeah, that sucked for me. But that was like the entire week for me. Yeah, has not been a good one. Hence why this video is long, because I feel that my week has been bad. Now, this week coming, I have to go to work, get sick or not, whatever, I don't know. I gotta make a car payment in 2 weeks, I gotta make a doctor's appointment, I gotta like do a lot of stuff, and this whole being sick, throwing up thing is turning to an issue. My silver lining in this, however, is that I think that after I go to my doctor's office, sign a form, pay for that form to be signed, I'll be able to get some stuff mailed over to Amazon, which should excuse me from throwing up coming to work late. Because, small thing, if you ever work at Amazon, there's two ways you can do it. You can waste your own personal time, you can waste time they give you every single week. Now, the thing is, if I go to work after being sick and like I like get to a point where I'm better, I wasted that entire chunk of the day while I was sick, not kind of driving to work that period of time. And saying how it's like a 45-minute drive from my house to get to Amazon, it's like basically that. So like if I not better by 11, I basically waste half the day. And this week and last week, because of how I just suddenly started throwing up out of the blue, and it got bad and worse, and I couldn't do anything, and my nausea started getting to a point where I was going to throw up if I ate anything or sat up too fast, and I keep having these moments of lightheadedness. I just got a note for the whole week because my doctors are even like, that doesn't sound safe, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. So hopefully this week that'll get figured out, and I'll be more on track to get some stuff done, hopefully. So there's that. I don't know. This week I would classify as weird, as bad. On a bad scale, like bad being completely horrible, one being okay. I would say this is a middle of a 5, maybe a 6, because of the nonchalantness of my endocrinologist, but just not a great week. But yeah, that's it. If you're interested in how my life continues to be better or worse, I super interestingly invite you to chill out with me next. No, Cowboy Bebop is not. I recommend you come with me next week when you can see what I'm doing. If not, I invite you to join the people who do not talk to me anymore and ignore me And you cannot see or hear my bad diatribes on my super long videos. But if not, until next week, I hope deeply that your week was better than mine. I hope that you slept. I hope that you're in great health. I hope that you have haircuts and you have the money to feed yourselves and you are living the life that allows you to do the things that make you happy. Because I, for a long period of time now, have not had the ability to be happy or sustain a level of being okay with the world. But that's then and everything else. But until next week, I've been Crimson Slave, and I will see you then. Ta.